Let's kick off with a wrap of the Dream Chasers Festival, which culminated at Saturday night's Phoenix.
Yeah, look, it's been a terrific festival across the 4 main nights, starting with the Top Gun, which had a really good crowd on course. The club did a terrific job with that, and that really kicked off what was a terrific 4 weeks with our Racing.com broadcast, but also all of the activities and the activations that happened on course. What we also saw was the emergence of some really great storylines as well, including like Kenya Mayhem winning the Melbourne Cup for young trainer Jess Hopkins. Also, we saw the emergence of Without a Trace as a new staying star of the future. And of course, culminated with what was a really interesting storyline around Deadly Avenger for Joe Borg, Team Thompson, and DB Constructions, winning was the Phoenix in what was an amazing night, probably the best you would see on a race course in greyhound racing anywhere. Crowds were up across all of our 4 nights and up about 5% year on year, which is really encouraging. I think, Saturday night's Phoenix was a magnificent atmosphere and a great finale to what was a terrific festival. We tried a few new things around engagement with various influencers and digital media kind of people like Vanessa and like the blogger that really helped us reach new audiences. And I think, we're in the process now of wrapping up what all of that looks like. We had some great wagering results around Top Gun night, which was a record in terms of turnover, but unfortunately the rest of the carnival didn't really produce the same kind of wagering results, and we're going through what that looks like at the moment. But overall, really pleased with the way it went.
Have we got some positive updates on Cranbourne and Traralgon returning to racing soon?
Yeah, good news there is that Cranbourne is well and truly progressed at this point in time. We're ahead of timeline, and we expect that if everything runs smoothly, as sometimes these things don't, but at the moment, if everything's running the way that it is, we should be finished there by the end of May, or at least middle June, and being ready with trials and testing and so forth for probably a return to racing there around August or September. So whilst that sounds a long way away, at this point in time it's progressing really well. With Traralgon and its upgrade project, it's also progressing ahead of schedule at the moment. Haven't run into any snags there, which is good. At this point in time, we expect probably to be finished end of January, mid-February with the club, and hopefully after once again testing and trialling there, we should be back racing probably maybe March or something like that.
There's been a lot of news about greyhound racing in other states, including Tasmania, New South Wales and Queensland. Will any of this news impact Victorian greyhound racing?
Yeah, look, there's a lot been going on in many jurisdictions around Australia over the last little while. We're very closely looking at the various recommendations and reports that are happening. So we've had the Tasmanian government propose a bill to ban greyhound racing and phase it out over the next 4 years to cease greyhound racing there by 2029. That bill made it through the lower house of Parliament in Tasmania, but it was sent back from the upper house. The upper house Legislative Council there actually voted in favour of a motion to refer the bill back to a parliamentary committee for review and further consultation. What they really debated there in that parliament was this hasn't really been given proper opportunity to be considered and is being rushed through. That bill would have actually made some changes from 1 January 2026. It looks like if it gets sent back for further consultation and review to that committee, and that's an opportunity for the Tasmanian racing community and industry to put forward some of their views and concerns about the lack of consultation and also just some of the concepts that are included as to try and hopefully get that bill defeated completely. But it certainly won't be voted on until March probably next year.
What about the outcomes of the New South Wales inquiry?
Yeah, the Drake inquiry in New South Wales into greyhound racing New South Wales concluded some time ago. The Minister for Racing there, David Harris, has had that review report for some time, and he handed down his recommendations, at least his response, so the government's response to the recommendations earlier in this month. Basically, a lot of the recommendations were rejected by government. Many of them were accepted. Most of them are around governance at Greyhound Racing New South Wales that have been accepted, and Greyhound Racing New South Wales has already made a fair bit of progress on many of those, but also around minimum track standards, etc., that GWIC and GRNSW are working on at the moment. The government will issue a new licence to Greyhound Racing New South Wales, and we've looked at many of the recommendations that have come out of that. Most of it probably doesn't directly impact greyhound racing in Victoria, but we'll look at a lot of it very closely. The other thing that came out of it and was sort of announced at the same time was the decision of the New South Wales government and Sydney City Council not to renew the lease at Wentworth Park from 2027, so that's a big change there. But we are closely looking at all of the details of that report to see if there's any learnings for us and anything that might impact greyhound racing here.
And the Queensland government also dropped their racing review.
Yes, the Queensland government had an independent review done of all three codes of racing and also the structure around the Queensland Racing Integrity Commission and Queensland Racing. They have recommended and agreed to bring those two organisations back together as one. There were, once again, a number of recommendations that were about animal welfare, greyhound welfare in particular, tracing and tracking of greyhound racing that we're well progressed on here, rehoming, etc. So there's a lot in that report. Again, the government accepted a number of the recommendations, but rejected plenty of them as well. And in particular, one of the recommendations around reducing the point of consumption tax rate in Queensland from the current 20% down to 15%, which would align with other states of Australia, was rejected. And so they're going to stick at 20%. So we'll be keeping a close eye on how all of that plays out. Again, we're assessing all those recommendations and seeing if there is anything that we need to look at, consider, and even adopt in Victoria out of that review.
So summing up, is there anything participants should be overly worried about out of those three?
No, I think what's encouraging is that the governments, certainly in Queensland and New South Wales, have shown support for greyhound racing, unequivocal support for greyhound racing. Tasmania, clearly we know it is what it is. And the fight's not over in Tasmania, but I think all it says is that we need to continue to be the very best that we can be in the way that we look after our greyhounds, the way we represent the industry and the work that we do, both in terms of upholding integrity and welfare, but being a professionally run industry. That's the kind of main message for everybody.
GRV also notified participants recently of the addition of hybrid race meetings to the racing calendar from January 7 next year. Could you talk us through some of the benefits that you foresee with that program?
It's something we've been working on for some time. In other states of Australia that are on the AusChase system, hybrid racing's been around for some time. And what we mean by this is that on one individual race program, you can run a mix of different prize money types and different ranking type race meetings. So for example, at a level 2 race meeting, a provincial country meeting, at the moment, we can only run the same level 2 races on that program that attract certain ranking points that are aligned with that, as well as certain structured prize money. As a bit of a test and try, we want to make sure that we provide different options for people to be able to nominate greyhounds that in a mix that might be level 3 races on a level 2 program, or level 2 races on a level 1 program, or even vice versa, that we might mix it up. And that'll be if there's insufficient nominations. So a level 2 meeting will be still at that standard, but we feel like there's opportunities for both greyhounds and trainers to actually be combined into the one program to make things more efficient, fill our race programs, and mix it up such that people have broader opportunity. People will vote with their feet, and we'll see how this plays out, but it's simply to bring us into line with what happens in other states at the moment.
What's been happening on the rehoming front?
Rehoming's been, actually we've been able to get some really good results out of some of our marketing campaigns at the moment, where we are actually seeing more demand coming through now into the system for people wanting to adopt greyhounds. So that's really encouraging. We saw a really large drop off in that over the last couple of years. We're seeing that coming back up again. So that's encouraging. And what we have got coming up now over the Christmas period, we will see about 50 of the greyhounds in the system at the moment that are pretty close to ready for adoption are going to go out to foster homes. So it's terrific that we've got that much interest in people wanting to take on greyhounds over that period. Many of those will be almost like a test and try. They would be foster caring those greyhounds over the Christmas period, and we expect, hopefully, a lot of those to end up staying with those people. So that's a really encouraging part of where we're at the moment. The other good part is the assisted rehoming program, and this is where a participant, owner, trainer has got a greyhound that's ready to be rehomed. It's been retired, it's had all of its health and desexing and teeth done, and it's in good and ready condition. It's going to pass all of the requirements for GAP. The greyhound stays with the owner trainer for a period of time whilst we can promote that greyhound as available for adoption. And what we're seeing is some of those dogs are going really quickly at the moment. So the people who are putting in the work to have the greyhounds ready are actually reaping the benefits at the moment of doing that. And hopefully we can see that continuing to progress as a good part of the system. Of course, we've still got greyhounds in our GAP program at the moment on site, many of whom are not really going to be ready for adoption for a while. So require more work, might require more vet work, might require more behavioural training, which is actually clogging up the system a little bit at the moment. If we can get that backlog cleared and we can get more dogs coming through that are ready for adoption and have been properly prepared, then everything will run a lot more smoothly, because we are getting better demand at the moment, and that's really encouraging.
GRV has just announced some changes to licensing as well, including renewing your license.
Yeah, you'll hear us start referring to the term license rather than registration. I think everyone commonly refers to a trainer's license in any case, but we will use that terminology more. Our license renewals will go to a 3-year cycle for everyone now, and that will mean that you've also going to need to do that 3-year national police check every 3 years on a cycle when your renewal is due. And also you'll need to upload a new passport quality photograph. Many people have got photographs that are probably decades old. We need to update some of those. There'll be a lot more information about what's changing and how you can engage with that process on the GRV website shortly. But it's pretty much business as usual. You don't really need to change much, but you'll be able to follow that process. There will also be some mandatory training, of course, included in all of that, particularly for new entrants, but people who haven't probably done that in the last cycle will be expected to do that as well.
Finally, do you have a message for participants over Christmas? Anything from our new chair, Tom Salem?
Yeah, well, look, I should mention that our new chairman, Tom Salem, has started with us, has been here about 3 months, has really hit the ground running in terms of getting out and about and seeing people at race meetings. Tom has a very strong and long commercial background and media background with News Limited over many, many decades. He's a very experienced person, has a great love for racing, which is great, of all three codes, which is terrific. So he comes into the industry with very good knowledge and is learning really quickly. So great to have Tom on board. As a final message, I'd certainly like to wish everyone a Merry Christmas, and hopefully they have a safe and wonderful time with their families over this holiday period.